final corner, and they're getting themselves ready for the race. They're prepared for the long run down into the first corner, and it is a long run indeed before we have that big braking zone into the Rettifilo. We can see there a look on board with some of our drivers as the race is about to begin. The second race of the Esports World Cup, the second race of Group A will begin now, and we can see MSI there. They're all prepared, they're all ready to go. They need to go on the attack now. It's not been a great start, and a reaction to the race start from Marcel Cincic. Kaiki Oliveira, I think, is making it 3 wide and going through the middle for BS Competition. He's going to send it deep onto the brakes. He's trying to take over the race lead. He's going to get sandwiched here between Marcel Cincic and Yuri Toman, and Marcel Cincic, I believe, had to go straight on, and there's more drama behind.
Yeah, Thibaut Casabon got caught up. I think Erhan Yujovski was the one that went spinning round for Vitality, just got absolutely swarmed going into the Rettifilo chicane, but maintaining that 1-2 stance. BS Plus, though, the herd chasing them down. Kaiki Oliveira now trying to put some pressure on, going into the Roger. The inside might well open up. Thibaut Casabon on the back foot, side by side with one of the MSI cars. That's Jimmy Antunes looking to go to the outside of the Roger, doing battle as well with Nikodem Wisniewski on the exit, though. It's all kicking off on lap 1.
Yeah, certainly so. The side-by-side's going to see Wisniewski looking to the outside at the moment, trying to clear his way through, and on Jimmy Antunes, they remain side-by-side, but it is going to be Wisniewski on top. They head their way into the second Lesbo. We ride on board with Thibaut Casabon. He's got his teammate way far down the road, and that is bad for Vitality. But the fact they're running 1 and 2 in this race, although I will say potentially questionably, obviously Cincic might be under investigation there. He was around the outside and then straight line the chicane. Do you think that's fair?
I mean, it's going to always be tricky. You can't gain an advantage by leaving the track, but if you were encouraged there and pushed there, you've got no other choice. So maybe it was a case of, I don't want to be involved in a crash. I'd rather cut the chicane and relieve some time, and maybe he's going to get a penalty. We also saw the BS Plus competition car of Ferris Stanley picking up some penalty points from Jeddah. That's going to push them back down as well. I mean that Monza, and when we go to Hockenheim as well, going to be ever more important for the BS Plus cars in order to really maximize their chances of not having to do that playoff race when we go to Daytona. Let's take a look at the start.
Yeah, certainly so. So you can see the Vitality all the way around. I mean, that for Cincic, I think he kind of likes the throttle, but then he's going to get pushed off anyway. There was contact there on the inside. That was what sent Erhan Yujovski round. He's not particularly happy, is the Macedonian. See that behind the wheel.
Yeah, no, he's very vocal. There's even more kicking off as we go through the Rettifilo to start lap 2. Ferris Stanley making his way across, involved with the 2 MSI cars. Gregor
Schill has dropped right the way down to 11th position, so he was the one that was spinning off in the background. There was definite contact. There was one on the right-hand side of the Rettifilo, so there has certainly been some drama, and so for BS Competition, things go slightly worse for them. Dropped down to 11th position. Jamie Fluke is moving his way up the order, is technically in contention for the race victory. He's running in 5th position. He's 1.5 seconds off, and what a crucial victory that would be for MSI.
Yeah, it could really save their day and their chances here at the Esports World Cup. Thibaut Casabon, though, doing some work in keeping behind Johan Harth and John Robertson in the battle for 8th. I mean, at this point, he's more focused as a rear gunner, but also trying to get after the likes of Jimmy Antunes and Nikodem Wisniewski. Right now, though, Vitality are in a very strong position. Kaiki Oliveira, though, and Ferris Stanley, even though they've got the pressure of BS Plus competition on their minds, they've got to wipe all of that, focus forward, and try and deliver a victory, because it really could be the turning point of their day.
And Kaiki Oliveira will be more hungry than in the previous race for that victory. He knows it fell through his fingers in the basically some of the battling that happened early on between himself and Johan Harth. Now he's got his teammate Ferris Stanley behind in 4th position. Kaiki Oliveira can have full focus on trying to take on Vitality. However, it is the mighty Marcel Cincic who has been dubbed by some, George Morgan, he's not here for us this round, as the master of Monza. I mean, look, he's proven it once again.
And dubbed by you as Macro Cincic as well.
He is dubbed by me as Macro Cincic, yeah, nice entry list.
He's up there, up in front, now leading by his teammate, who aren't going to work together, not working together, though, is Thibaut Casabon and Johan Harth, who pulls out to the right-hand side. John Robertson trying to freight train his way through as well, using his teammate as a bit of a battering ram towards the first chicane. The Vitality car, though, of Thibaut Casabon holds his way to the outside, pushing the MSI Mercedes all the way to the outside extremities of the circuit, a long way round, though, of Curva Grande. That could open the door for John Robertson to find a way through.
Yeah, Robertson will need to sit right on the rear end of his teammate here, and it's exactly what he does, almost drive straight into the side of Thibaut Casabon as well, up to the Roger. They're going to go. It'll be around the outside for Johan Harth. Casabon's going to try and commit to the inside. He's made some good overtakes mistakes in the past around here. And here comes Robertson into the mix as well, sending it straight around the outside of the Rogier. Will remain on the inside as they head their way down into the first Lesmo. And exactly as you called, Zach, brilliant teamwork between Hart and Robertson, leaving that door open. Robertson came straight through and was able to work his way past Casabon.
This is exactly what MSI need to do as well, right? They're on the back foot. They need to be working as a 4, as a contingent of 4. They're 5, 6, 7, and 8, capitalizing on as many points as possible, really using that team dynamic well. Capitalized on Thibaut Casabon being isolated all by himself with no support from his teammates, and really worked together quite well. Same too though, Vitality out in front. Chinchik from Toman now opening that gap up to Ferris Stanley and Kaiki Oliveira behind, who have now swapped positions. So I think maybe BS confident that Stanley has got the pace to maybe drive them onto the back of Vitality. We're about to tick off the 3rd lap and start the 4th, so nearly halfway through the 2nd race of Group A. Still definitely on the cards for BS+ to recover here. However, that is very wide from Ferris Stanley. Jamie Fluke now could be on the attack for the podium.
And this is the problem. You've switched around the drivers, I understand that, and Ferris Stanley is a quick driver himself, but maybe a little bit of inconsistency in it. Let's see what happened then down here. This is, of course, that overtake. So it was Johan Hart and Thibaut Casabon going side by side. A little bit of a squeeze in between them, but you know, you can get a little bit of touring car racing in these, and that was what allowed Robertson having, or gave him the opportunity to work his way through. This is Fluke that we're looking at here in the white car with the blue highlights right on the rear end of the BS competition duo of Ferris Stanley and Kaiki Oliveira, who have switched round once again. Felix Van Delft, sort your drivers out.
I was going to say, they're tripping up each other a lot, and that's really not doing them any favours. It's lost them so much time, and it now means they have to be looking backwards. Thibaut Casabon, though, not going for the attack on John Robertson, not really instigating much. However, sends Robertson in deep, fakes him in, now gets a really good exit. That was really well set up there from Thibaut Casabon. Prioritised the exit, now looks to go to the inside of the Lesmo. It's the yellow and black machine, the Aston Martin of the Vitality of Casabon on the inside. Then it's the Mercedes at the MSI car of John Robertson now on the outside into Lesmo 2. Casabon launching that counter-attack. However, he is surrounded by MSI cars, and also Gregor Schill closing in the background.
This is not going to work if they're going to go side by side all the way up to Ascari. The outside line's never really going to work through there. There's also a switch ahead. So Johan Hart and Jimmy Antunes have switched around. Hart is now ahead of his teammate, and Robertson's going to back out of trying to make this side by side as they head their way through the Ascari chicane, flicking it left, then right, then left again, and out on this back stretch down towards the Parabolica. Gregor Schill, who had great race pace in the previous races, looming large in the background despite that spin. He's closing up on that duo. Meanwhile, the other BS competitions in 3rd and 4th are feeling the pressure from Jamie Fluke for what would be some very important points. At the moment, the points would be 105 for Vitality, it would be 60 for BS competition, and it would be 44 for the Mercedes-AMG Esports team MSI. This would be some very important point switches as we're going to go 3 wide. Kaiki Oliveira with a slow run opens up the opportunity, and here comes down the inside Jamie Fluke. He's having to back out of it on Kaiki Oliveira, but remains side by side with Ferris Stanley as they head their way through the Rettifilo. They're still side by side up towards Curva Grande, and of course the assistant is going to go the way of the 2 BS competition drivers.
That was a close call from BS competition. Ferris Stanley now having to look in his mirrors and keep Jamie Fluke behind, who's swerving all over the rear end, going defensive, going side by side, not to attack each other, but to block the Mercedes. Now towards the Roger, Ferris Stanley doing a really good job as to protect this podium position for BS+ competition. Jamie Fluke, though, he is really now cementing this attack, applying a lot of pressure, getting in the mirrors, applying that pressure of the BS+ cars, who have to realise they've got the advantage here. They've got 2 cars in this fight. Jamie Fluke, though, if he can hold them up enough, Johan Hart might be able to close in and give him some support.
I remember seeing the heart rate monitor and the trace of it across the race from Jamie Fluke when he won the overall round back in 2023 at Road Atlanta. He had to defend the entire race. I don't think for a moment in that race his heart rate was below 160. I'm pretty sure it peaked. I think it was like 187.
Wow.
It peaked. In this race, his heart rate is going to be pretty high as well as he's going on the attack. That said, sometimes I find going on the attack can be a little bit more comfortable in that sense. Some drivers prefer going on the attack. Some drivers prefer defending and holding on the position. Jamie Fluke, he's experienced enough in sim racing. He can do either side capably.
Yeah, absolutely so, and he's doing a really good job of it right now. However, he has got a very uphill climb, and that pressure of having his team on his shoulders right now and knowing that he's in a golden opportunity to not only pick up more points for MSI, but to take some points off BS+ BS+, who are going to give each other that little bump draft. So you see there Ferris Stanley closing up onto the rear end of his teammate, giving him a little tap on his back end. That just accelerates Kike Oliveira a little bit more, puts him out in front of him, and allows that gap to increase. A little bit further back though, Gregor Schill, another BMW BS competition car, fighting towards the back end now with John Robertson. And again, these aren't for many points at the back, but with how close it could well be between MSI and BS, these are valuable points.
I get the feeling though with the Mercedes-AMG Esports team MSI that maybe the communication might be the fluke to be go all attack here. It doesn't necessarily matter if you go past, it's more important if you slow them down and allow Johan Harth, allow Jimmy Antunes to join that fight to assist you, at least maybe for the final lap. Could be some more points lost for MSI here, as here comes a look down the inside. Gregor Schill trying to make the move as he's trying to get past John Robertson at the moment for 9th position. Does not complete that pass at the moment, does Schill, so he'll remain at the moment in 10th position. Robertson holding on to 9th.
Yeah, doing a really good job actually, John Robertson. Even though he's not fighting towards the front, he's recovering really well from qualifying. Not the most experienced, of course, driver in R1, more with a rallycross background, as a world champion in that specific discipline, but this is an entirely different kettle of fish. The way you drive the cars and the way you approach each race, he's got to adapt to that, and to be fair, has done a decent job of that so far in R1, but hasn't quite been able to break that upper echelon of the top half of the grid. Maybe that's going to come today. Right now doesn't quite seem to be the case. We're about to tick off, well, we've ticked off lap number 6, now making our way, lap number 5 onto lap number 6, so 3 laps left of this race. Chinchik leading from Toman, Kike Oliveira and Ferris Stanley the top 4, but Jamie Fluke trying to put an end to that right now in the slipstream towards the Rettifilio chicane, but doesn't quite have the legs on the straight, especially when Ferris Stanley is getting that slipstream himself off Kike Oliveira. However, an exponential increase and a huge send on the brakes, showing his car in the mirrors. Slight bit of contact maybe as they reach the apex. Jamie Fluke able to apply some pressure, but no real attack. Further back as well, John Robertson swarmed by 2 cars.
Yeah, indeed, big dives and some big moves. Robertson with Schill at the moment. You can see there the vitality behind him. Yovsky could be some important points for vitality at the moment. At the moment, they are 46 points clear of the next team. They've got 106 at the moment over BS Competition's 60 as they run at the moment in this race. Here comes John Robertson back into the mix. MSI has been cost an extra couple of points there by Robertson dropping back behind, or sorry, is that Thibaut Casamon in there? Or is that Erhan Yovsky? I think it is Erhan Yovsky who's worked, but no, it's definitely Erhan Yovsky who's worked his way past. So Yovsky is in 10th position, and so it is now Robertson, I believe, down into 11th.
Yeah, not at all great for Robertson. Like I say, one of the most inexperienced drivers in R1, but this is valuable experience for him. However, MSI might not be competing in many races over the course of the first week of competition at the Esports World Cup. They really need to just get themselves in gear and try and churn in some really good results. However, with only 3 races for the last chance qualifier, there's a good opportunity here. They could be going out. Of course, the top 2 of Group A and Group B go straight through to tomorrow's round-robin group stage. However, for the rest of them, those that don't finish last have to go into that race-off and compete for their final spot in continuing into this competition. Just go on word in our rear as well, an extra lap on this race. It's not going to be 8, it's going to be 9. So we complete lap 7, 2 laps left to go.
Yes, certainly so. So we've got a couple more left, and we'll head our way back up to the battle for 3rd position. It's Kike Oliveira in 3rd, it's Ferris Stanley in 4th, it's Jamie Fluke though trying to make the move. To the outside he's going to go, and he might complete the move on the pair of them. We saw a double overtake back in Jeddah. Is it too deep though for Fluke? He's going to keep it just about on the road. Oh my goodness, that was so close for Fluke to completing the double move. He might not even settle for just one. I think he's going to get dropped back behind Ferris Stanley here, but what a great at least attempt at an overtake.
It was a good effort. However, the fight is far from over. Still on the penultimate lap, tucked up in the slipstream, could well be able to find a way through. Ferris Stanley covering that off really cleverly. It was, like I say, such a good effort from Jamie Fluke. Exactly what he needs to do though. Even if he didn't get through, he's slowing down those 2 BMWs. Johan Harth though not quite doing the job, is to close the gap. It has closed a little bit, now down to sub 2 seconds, but still not quite enough. Jimmy Antunes there with him as well in the slipstream, working together. Jamie Fluke is trying his best. I think that time is of the essence, and it's not being used to the full extent.
Indeed. We'll say, by the way, good race from Johan Arth at the moment, because obviously he's gained 6 positions on the race start, which is actually, so far, it's only 2 races, so fair enough. But so far it's the most positions gained in a single race in this competition. Well, I'm sure we'll see that number get into double digits for a couple of drivers at some point. We'll have to wait and see. Let's see a replay. The attempt from Jamie Fluke. We ride on board with him. You can see Ferris standing there going slow, sitting behind his teammate, rightfully so, not trying to make it 3 wide. Kei Kilavera there, just a little bit too deep, so much speed going in there, and better than most, he actually tried keeping it on the road.
Yeah, he gave it a go, and I think nearly got it done. It just was a little bit too much curve on the left. But that slingshot that he got, the double slipstream from the 2 BMWs in front, allowed him to propel himself on now to the final lap of the race. Jamie Fluke, couple of tenths back, exactly where you want to be. You start closing, the closer you get, the more it gives you. Now closing the gap. This is the fight for the podium. Jamie Fluke once again trying to do exactly what he did this time a lap ago. Some extra speed going in towards the Rettifilo. Late on the brakes. Has he got the agility to go the long way round? Once again, just a bit too in deep. However, tapped round. Jamie Fluke into the barrier.
That's such a mistake from Ferry Stanley, just tapping the rear end of Jamie Fluke in the attempt. And yeah, Fluke is round. He's in the barrier. He'll be able to carry on, but it's some more major points cost for MSI. I think they might well almost be accepting 3rd place in this group now.
Yeah, not ideal. And of course, as well, they're going directly against 3rd place in Group B to see who immediately gets dropped from this competition. If they're at least the best of last, they can go into that race-off at Daytona and have a chance of surviving in this competition. But it's going from bad to worse. Half a lap left to go, though. Marcel Chinchik, Yuri Toman have dominated this race out in front and have just cleared off, taking this as an invitation to just soar out in front and once again solidify some great results for Vitality, who are looking almost impossible to beat now. Gregor Schill as well on the back of John Robertson, a slight mistake off the Lesmo. BS Plus trying to capitalise, but Team Vitality once again in some dominant strides.
Yeah, 111 points at the moment for Vitality. They'd be 50 clear of BS competition, and mostly that is due to these two here. Yes, sure, Thibaut Kazabon and Erhan Yovski have scored a fair share of points so far, but it was a 1-2 in the previous race, going the way of Toman ahead of Chinchik. This time, though, it's the master of Monza again. It's Marcel Chinchik through the final corner to win on this iconic circuit once more. Race 2 of Group A goes the way of Vitality, who are dominating here in the last chance groups. It's fantastic to see, but Chinchik was in control there along with Toman.
Yeah, huge stuff. And like I say, Vitality, this is their happy hunting ground. That marks a 9th victory around the Temple of Speed for Marcel Chinchik. His 18th podium. That's more wins and podiums than people have in their entire R1 career. He's got it here at Monza. This is one of his favourite circuits, and today proved that. Vitality are the team to beat and trying to solidify themselves the easiest route in continuing this competition.
Certainly so. You can see the first sweat drops have been